Okay. Hello.
Hi.
Can we hear each other well?
Yep.
Okay,
I can hear
perfect.
you. Oh,
So how are you
Andre, no
today?
bark. I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. So I'm really glad to have you on our first episode of our podcast. I'm just gonna share a bit about what we do about I Love Veterinary, and then I'm gonna pass on the word to you to introduce yourself, and yeah, we'll continue with some interesting questions.
All right.
Yeah. So I don't know if many of the people who are watching us live now on Facebook and YouTube, and yeah, I think on LinkedIn as well. We started this project 5 years ago. We started uh, with the community on social media. Then it grew into a blog, and we also have our store for veterinary medicine gifts for veterinary professionals. As you know, now Vet Tech Week is coming, which we all love as part of the year. We get to appreciate our vet techs, and yeah, it's the only place you can find the best gifts for veterinary professionals. It's our store. You might go as well and check it out. Yeah, so Dr. Lawrence, so thank you again for being with us today for our first episode. Uh, you have a very interesting background, and what you do is pretty cool as well. So I will give you the chance to introduce yourself so I don't miss anything important. Can you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. Hi. I am Dr. Lauren Smith. I am a small animal veterinarian. I graduated from Ross in 2008 and went immediately into private practice, working really with just dogs and cats. I'm dog cat exclusive, and I worked as an associate for a while. And at some point, I started writing. And some of this originally just started writing, some stuff for clients, like 3 things you should do for your allergic dog, things like that. But then I wrote something that really resonated with other veterinary professionals, and with some encouragement, I started writing more for veterinary professionals and found that a lot of my experiences resonated with other other veterinary professionals, which was nice to get that feedback and to hear that what I had to say made people feel less alone. Over time, my writing kind of evolved more and became a little bit more specific and concentrated towards how to have better experiences with clients and how to improve our relationship with clients. And so that's really what the Vetitude, which is my brand and my website, is about how to improve your relationships with clients, how to deal with difficult clients, how to deal with toxic clients, um, when to work on the relationship, when to let that relationship with those clients go, and that kind of stuff. And I do I write some stuff for my blog. I'm big on Instagram. And I also do one-on-one coaching with clients to help them with their with other one-on-one coaching with other veterinary professionals,
Mm-hmm.
to help them develop their client relationship skills.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. That's very interesting. Okay, so yeah, I think many of our vet students that are watching might want to know how was at university, where did you study, and how it was the whole experience. Okay,
Yeah.
what can you tell us about that?
So I went to Ross, and I went down there. I started in 2004. So that was actually before they were accredited, but still very prominent here in the
Mm-hmm.
United States and had a good reputation. So I was down in St. Kitts for several years, which St. Kitts is a beautiful island. It's a wonderful place to go on vacation. Living there was a little tough, especially back then. I have been back to the island since, and things have there are a few more resources and stuff on there for, I think, a little less culture shock now. But it was a little bit difficult living down there for 3 years. But I got a top-notch education, and I loved the school. And then
Mm-hmm.
for Ross, because they don't really have the patient load down in St. Kitts to really be able to do full clinicals, Ross, like many of the other veterinary, I think all of the other Caribbean veterinary schools, partners with U.S. veterinary schools, for your clinical rotation. So I went up to Cornell for my clinical rotation. I'm from New York originally, so it was nice to be back in New York. However, I moved from St. Kitts to Ithaca, New York in January, and my first rotation at Cornell was ambulatory, so outside at the farms. I'd never been so excited to stick my hand up something's butt just for a little bit of warmth.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, but I had a very good experience at Cornell too. The Ross students integrated very well in with the Cornell students, and they were all very welcoming of us.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, you mentioned that you have your own blog and website, and it's called the Vetitude. Can you tell us more about that? Like, how did you come up with the name? It's
Yeah.
interesting.
So the Vetitude was the name itself came out was just sort of like a a word association spitballing thing that I was doing. I work Danielle Lambert has worked very closely with me to help me build my brand, so I bounced a lot of stuff off of her and just was a lot of word association, looking for words that I felt described what we did and trying to like vetify them.
Mm-hmm.
So we came up with attitude, having the right attitude to thrive in veterinary medicine and to deal with the clients and all of those things, and came out to the Vetitude eventually. So it was just kind of a trial and error thing until I found the right word that I was like, yes, that's the one.
Yeah, I think it explains very well
Mhm.
what you wanted to do. Yeah. Yeah. What about the coaching part of yeah, of your profession, I would say. Can you tell us more about that? How does that go? How can people find you? Uh, yeah.
Yeah, so the coaching that I offer is usually 3 sessions. We kind of tailor each session around a different part of the client experience. So the first part is going to be getting into the right mindset to deal with clients. A lot of times we've had bad past experience with clients that affect how we go into a conversation. I can't count the number of times even that my team will come up to me and be like, or I'll see a note in the chart that automatically like pegs a client as a bad client, or they were difficult outside, checking in or on the phone. And so you assume that they're going to be a difficult client, and like I still do it. It's still sometimes um, an active choice where I have to say, listen, just because they were being difficult that time doesn't mean that they're going to be this time. I can't go in defensive mode, and really taking a moment to really like turn that initial impression off um, and go into it with an open mindset. But that takes a lot of work because you have
Mhm.
to figure out what your own triggers are, what things that are kind of make you defensive, and you need to identify those and realize that it's happening. And it
Mhm.
happens to everybody. I mean, this does not
Yeah.
make you, that happens a lot with the clients too, right? They're reacting to things that maybe are triggering them.
Mhm.
And it happens to everybody. So the first kind of session centers around kind of getting into that right mindset, identifying your triggers, those kinds of things. The second session focuses on the actual client interactions, things that you struggle with. Do you have difficulty getting clients to comply with preventative care recommendations? Do you have difficulty giving bad news? Like, what are the actual interactions that
Mhm.
maybe you struggle with that you feel like you could do better with? And then the last session is a focuses on the aftermath. Like, if things go bad, which they do sometimes, how do you learn from that? How do you move on? How do you not internalize it? And how do you really just recognize that it's not necessary, yes, there are things that you might have been able to do better, things that you might be able to change next time, but also it's not about you, and don't take it so personally.
Mhm.
And so it's really kind of like that. The last session is dealing on how to move on from those conversations that don't necessarily go the way you want. And then
Yeah.
there's like a shorter session afterwards where we kind of just kind of tie up loose ends. Um,
Mhm.
the coaching also comes with several workbooks and handouts. There's like a PDF on phrases to help de-escalate angry clients. There is
Mm-hmm.
a journal on and a workbook on boundary setting. Those kinds of things that also come with the coaching.
That sounds amazing. Like, I was gonna ask you if there are some technical things that you teach people, like specific sentences or something, but you said yourself you even give a workbook for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can you like maybe give an example of a situation, for example, how to deal with an angry client or?
Mm-hmm. So I think when you're dealing with someone who's already angry, which can be for a lot of reasons, it can be money.
Yeah.
It could be just that they come in a bad mood. But sometimes, when someone's
Mm-hmm.
already angry and you need to de-escalate them, I think there are a couple of things we need to do. We like to think that we are all logical beings and that we react logically. And I hear people say this all the time, like, yes, they're emotional, but we still should know better. But the thing is,
Mm-hmm.
we are still technically animals, right?
Yeah.
And when you become triggered by certain things, your neocortex, that logical functioning part of your brain, actually does shut down, and the amygdala, the fight or flight portion, takes over. And so it actually does become very hard for us to kind of rise above it when we are stuck in that way. So we need to break them out of what's called the amygdala hijack, right?
Mm-hmm.
The amygdala hijacks your thinking. And you
Yeah.
lose the ability to think logically. So you need to break them out of that. So there are certain things that you can do. One, um, you know, the more you push back or get defensive against them, the more they are likely to then become further entrenched in that. So I like to replace that with an expression of sympathy. Now, that doesn't mean excusing what they do, right? It just means understanding where they're coming from. Like, they are probably upset or angry for a reason, and it may not be about you. If it's they're complaining about the price, I understand medicine is
Sorry,
really
one
expensive.
second.
Yeah. Are we?
I lost my audio, sorry.
Oh no. Anything yet? No.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? I guess not. Hello?
Just a second.
No.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, I can't hear you.
Oh no.
Uh,
Audio.
okay.
It
So,
looks like my microphone is working according to my settings.
let me
Second.
just. Okay, technical difficulties happen.
Yep.
Okay.
Anything yet?
So, I will need to log off for a second and come back in, and we can continue.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So,
Can you hear me now? Anything?
yeah, I think your mic is working, but
It says when I go. Okay.
mine my speaker is not working.
Oh.
But it's fine. I will hear you on another window. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
maybe we can continue with you telling us
We were talking about
about
de-escalating.
if you have scheduled a next talk or like coaching session. Where can people find you to schedule a coaching session?
Yeah, so the best way to get in touch with me is either to DM me. You can DM me at the Vetitude on Instagram or Facebook, although I'm a little bit more active on
The best
Instagram.
way to get in touch with
Or you can, sorry, getting some feedback. Okay. Or you can email me at lauren@thevetitude.com. So I'm pretty much the Vetitude everywhere. The Vetitude at Instagram and Facebook, and lauren@thevetitude.com for email.
Okay. I'm just using the stream on the other window to hear what you say. Sorry about the
That's all right.
the confusion. Yeah, and if you can tell us about what a busy person like you does in their free time, like what can people do as a hobby when they're a vet? Like,
So I really love to write, actually. So obviously, I write for veterinary stuff, but I like creative writing too. I write some creative fiction stuff for fun. I typically, in the past, have liked running, and I've run a couple of half marathons and one full marathon. And I also like yoga. However, I have been injured and haven't really been able to exercise for almost a year now. But I think we're finally on the right track for getting me healed, and hopefully in the next couple of months I can start doing some of that stuff again. Um, Last year I found out that my one dog really likes hiking. I just got a new dog, so I don't know about him. So I'm looking forward to maybe being able to take them hiking again once my foot heals and my medical issues are better. But yeah, so that's a lot of what I like to do in my free time.
mm-hmm. Okay, sounds fun. And yeah, if you have anything else to add, like and
Right. Yeah, so I would say that I guess the only other thing I have to add is that I think that you're not alone if you're struggling right now. Clients are definitely more difficult than they used to be. And they've always been difficult, but I do know that it's gotten worse. And that while you can work with difficult clients and you can improve that relationship, it is also important and totally fine to set boundaries. And if you are working in an environment where you find that you're having a lot of difficulty with clients, that might be also a management issue, that we're not setting proper boundaries with clients. They are not properly setting clients' expectations with clients, and that there may be um, better places either out there for you or better ways to work with your management to improve the overall client experience. But it's never going to be smooth sailing completely. But if it's a chronic issue, it may be the environment that you're in as well. So
mm-hmm. Yeah, I see. Okay, I will get on to the questions to see if we have any questions on our live stream. Let me see. Okay. So,
So I am so I am inspired by pretty much everyone. I think almost everyone in veterinary medicine is inspiring. I definitely have, Dr. Andrew Rourke was a big inspiration for me when I first got it started. And so I love Not One More Vet. I do think that that sometimes the actual community of Not One More Vet, you need to be careful and set boundaries with, because there is obviously a lot of people who are coming on there to express their frustrations, and it can get overwhelming and suck you into a bad head frame. But what they actually do as a community, the support that they offer, big fan of them, of course. And they also have Not One More Vet support staff, which is really important because I think that support staff gets too often overlooked, and it's really important that we start building our support staff up. And yeah, so Uh-oh, now I can't hear you.
Okay.
Uh,
As for our first episode, we had some technical difficulties, but I think we're gonna do better next time. I'm sorry
it's a learning
for
experience.
I'm sorry for yeah, for the difficulties. Um yeah, so thank you again for joining us for this short chat. I'm really happy that you were on the first episode, and I am looking forward to next Saturday. If you can join us, you're welcome to see our next episode with one vet tech that we have scheduled. You can all find the next event on Facebook and yeah, or on YouTube. It will be live streamed every Saturday on at 12 p.m. EST. And yeah, uh, thank you again for joining us, everyone, and yeah, have a nice day.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Okay, thank you as well.